choices you make could get yourself and everyone under your command killed. But I believe in you, Jim.
Darkness is coming.
This could just be the beginning.
Beginning of what?
All-out war. I request permission to go after him.
I cannot allow you to do this.
Jim, you're not actually going after this guy, are you?
Let's go get this son of a bitch.
Take 3. This is literally our 3rd time trying to do this. Last night, we started out in the car. We tried recording with the GoPro like I did with Iron Man. That didn't work. It was out of power, so we just couldn't use it. Then we get back to the apartment. We set this up last night, and it all looks good. We record it.
It's fun.
It was grainy as shit. The footage was unusable.
Yeah, it was terrible.
So we waited. There's now daylight. I bought a new lens for the cameras so that it's better in focus. There's more light, yada, yada, yada. Technical mumbo jumbo, you don't care. How was the movie?
Yeah, it's on to the meat and potatoes.
Exactly. So like I said, take 3. Anyway, so yeah, Star Trek Into Darkness. We went and saw it last night. And I really enjoyed it.
This is with it.
This is our 3rd time saying this, but it was a lot of fun.
3rd, 4th, whatever.
Something like that. 5th.
Bajillionth.
Yes.
Yes. But no, I had a lot of fun with it too. It was an enjoyable movie, and going into it with very little expectations as I did, I came out with it pleased.
Yes. Oh, that's another thing that we should state, because 3rd time we're forgetting what we shouldn't say. I'm Tom. As you already know, this is my roommate Ryan.
Ahoy.
So there we go. There's that out of the way. That it's the 3rd time. Shut up.
Give us a break, man.
So yeah, no, very, very enjoyable movie. There's people have been saying there's a few griping moments with the movie, but I mean that's just par for the course with any movie as far as I'm concerned. It's not going to be 100% Toy Story level.
Yeah, you're not going to get many movies that are going to be that every time.
Exactly,
and especially when they're on the sequel.
Yes, I will say, it was done very well. I really liked it. It's keeping things spoiler free for now. A lot of stuff was very well executed. They continued the character growth. The interactions between Kirk and Spock grow. Mm-hmm. Their friendship and the relationship between them gets very good and gets very cemented.
Yeah.
Like, everything about it it grows really well. There's a few points early in the movie where you kind of go, oh god, they're just going to rehash the first movie again. Why?
Yeah.
But then they sidestep it.
Yeah, there was lots of points where I saw, like, laying the groundwork for the character arcs to follow exactly what they did in the first one, and there was a lot of points that they did, but I felt overall that it worked for the movie.
Yes,
because it kind of showed that the first movie was in some ways just kind of them rising to the challenge.
Correct. I agree.
Whereas this one, it showed more that they were now coming into their own.
Yes. Now, one thing that we did mention yesterday is... Oh no! Wait. I don't remember when we talked about this. I can't remember this.
Well, what is it?
One person who got the short end of the stick in this movie was Chekhov.
Yeah, Chekhov. In the first movie, he was like this enthusiastic genius.
Yep.
And it was just like every time somebody said that's impossible, he's like, I can do this. I can do this.
I can do that. I can do that. Take the con.
The black hole's expanding. We won't reach minimum safe distance if we don't leave immediately.
Move. I can do that. I can do that. Move.
Whereas in this movie, he just felt defeated all the time. It was
like
he didn't get treated like a proper Chekhov. He had no enthusiasm for his own abilities.
This I don't want to say because it might be contested as somewhat of a spoiler, but I'll save it for the spoiler part.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's for Chekhov. It was just kind of I felt bad for him.
Yeah.
The villain, though, done by, I think the name is Benedict Cumberbatch.
I can't remember, but I'm bad with names.
So am I. I'm amazed I remember Cumberbatch as far as I did, and it very well might be Benedict. In which case, I'm amazing. But he was a fantastic villain.
Oh, his character was entertaining for every scene he was in, especially in the fact that you spent a lot of your time trying to figure out, like, what is he thinking?
Yeah. Where's his mindset? What's
Yeah.
he doing next? How is this
and
evolving?
it's just kind of trying to understand, why did he just do that?
Exactly. Or how did he just do
Yeah,
that?
that too.
Now, one thing that I'm not going to say is a spoiler, even though people probably say it's a spoiler. Only reason I'm not saying it's a spoiler is because this happened when we were in the theater. There was the pre-show going
Yeah.
on, and then they're like, "This
Wait-
is the first time of blah blah being on the screen in over 10 years."
Like, way to spoil the movie before you even start it.
Granted, they're only in the movie for like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
but
that.
it's the Klingons. Spoilers, maybe.
Ooh.
Oh, so like they're in the movie very briefly. They look like ass. We'll get into that in the whole spoilers section of the video, but just kind of, I just want to get that out there. Just
It's barely a spoiler. I mean, if you didn't expect Klingons, where were you?
and that's the thing. Like I said, they're in the movie for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it's really not that big of a driving
They're
force.
pretty
to the
much there
movie.
for one fight scene, which was epic,
It was.
but
I mean, like
still.
it easily could have been like the Cardassians or the
Yeah.
or the Romulans again, and it would have served
Yeah.
the same purpose.
exactly. It was just kind of there.
Yep. So that's that. Very interesting movie. It did a few plot twists. It did a few really grindy parts, but that's much more the spoiler side.
Yeah.
But for me, there are only 3, and that's it for the entire movie. So it's, like maybe these 3 little scenes throughout the movie that you just kind of go, okay, the rest of it's awesome. I'll let the rest slide.
Yeah. I think I had a few more points that kind of got on my nerves a little bit, but they were such points that is like, for the most part I can forgive them,
Yes.
just because the rest of the piece was still entertaining and kind of kept my interest.
Exactly. So, all that aside, I'd say definitely go see it. It's well worth the price of admission. I'm probably
Yeah.
going to end up having to see it again with
Yeah.
some other people.
I would definitely say as well, go see it.
So, there you go. Many of the thumbs up. Go watch it. Rate, comment, subscribe, and whatnot in the diddly-doo below. Visit the website, follow on
Yeah,
Twitter, all
absolutely.
that stuff. And then in the meantime, we are now entering the spoiler time!
Oh my god, all the spoilers.
Section of the video.
All
So...
right, cover your eyes and ears and get out if you don't want spoilers. Like
Just kind of sit there and just go la 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 la
Yeah.
for the rest of the video, or skip.
yeah. Whatever.
But no,
We warned you.
so spoiler time. The movie starts off. I don't even remember how it fully starts off. Like at the very very beginning.
It basically just kind of started off with everything kind of just ending from a little bit of a mission.
Yeah.
They were on a mission, and then things just kind of went
Oh,
tits
that's
up.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. For some reason, I thought there was a section before that.
No, they were on this mission. Things go tits up with it, and
Yeah.
then it's just kind of the whole rigmarole from there. How it kind of resets the status quo.
Exactly.
So that they gotta do their thing. That was where our first kind of gripe, where it's like, oh man, they're just gonna retread their character.
Because
arcs.
it starts off with like Spock is in this volcano. They detonate a device that saves the primitive culture, but they
they get
can't do
spotted.
that because they get spotted.
Yeah, they get spotted, which
But
violates the Prime directives.
Well, it's them actually interfering with the plan to begin with.
Exactly.
Even interferes with the Prime Directive.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that Spock was even going that far.
yeah,
But all that aside, so Kirk turns in a report that says not much happened. Spock is a full detailed report. At which point they take the Enterprise away from Kirk. Spock gets reassigned as first officer on another ship, and Kirk has to go back to the Academy.
yeah,
I'm just like, oh dear God, they're not.
yeah.
And then they don't, thankfully. Pike does a big push for him. They give him the
They give
Enterprise.
him first officer on the Enterprise.
Well,
Yeah.
Pike
Yeah,
makes a big case
Pike
for
gets
it.
the Enterprise back. Pike makes a case to have Kirk still instated, so he brings him in as his first officer.
And then very quickly, Pike dies, and then Kirk becomes captain again.
Well, and then that is all triggered by the other kind of major spoiler for everything, which I believe you said it best in our last take. The internet was right.
The internet called this months ago. I think we'll just let Shatner say it best. And
Yeah.
yeah, see, like that's there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Benedict is actually Khan, like the
Yeah.
internet predicted months ago, as they started predicting as soon as the first movie ended.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, like, because of that, it's the kind of sequence of events that Khan triggers into play that then lead to Kirk just being put almost thrown back into the captain's chair.
yeah,
It was, he requested it by like one of the even higher up admirals who managed to survive. But,
he's the guy he's the head of Starfleet.
yeah, he's the head of Starfleet, and he requests to kind of be sent after this guy to, you know, avenge his friend.
And his friend, and the admiral's like, well, you know, I brought him into Starfleet, he brought you into Starfleet, I'm responsible for him, so go and kill him with these stealth nukes.
Yeah.
So just all exposition. They scoot off. They go to Kronos, which is the Klingon homeworld. They try to find Khan, who at this point you don't know is Khan, but and so the Klingons find them, and then they get revealed. They look like ass. Oh my god!
Yeah. It
Like,
looked terrible.
the best way that we were able to describe it last night was if you think of B'Elanna Torres,
Yeah.
which a lot of people said that was like they didn't like the way her makeup was done. It was that, but worse, where
Yeah.
instead of like the full ridges, it was just down the center essentially,
Yeah.
and went all the way back.
all the way to the back.
And he had these piercings on
Yeah.
each ridge, and
And then the profile of the face was elongated, and they had these tiny little ears. It looked weird.
so.
like-
But they are literally in the movie for 10 minutes, and you have Uhura speaking a bit of Klingon, and at which point Khan...
That was awkward, by the way.
Yeah.
Hearing her speak Klingon was just awkward.
Granted, it's Klingon.
Yeah.
So then you have this big battle ensue where Khan basically takes out like 3 or 4
Yeah.
birds of prey with like a handheld cannon.
Yeah, he had like some kind of like gigantic cannon that he's using single-handedly, no less.
While holding
Holding another assault rifle and just obliterating how many platoons of these guys.
Yeah. And then you have the Batlith, and one thing that we talked about in the last night was the score, like the musical score.
Yeah.
It was done very well.
It was impressive. Like the musical score for this movie was spot on. There was a couple moments that kind of bothered me, like the first time you see Khan, even though you have no idea who he is, they do this epic dun-da, like around it when you first see just the first shot of his face, and it's like,
Yeah, that-
alright, why the epic foreboding music on
that
this
was really
guy?
throwing, just because the first time you see him,
He's helping somebody.
He's helping someone who I still haven't checked this, but I'm fairly sure that the actor is Mickey from Doctor Who, which if you know Doctor Who, then you'll know this. His daughter's sick, and you know it doesn't look good, and he just kind of shows up from behind. You don't even see him;
Yeah,
you just hear the
see
voice.
Yeah, you hear his
And it's
voice,
just-
which is really fucking deep.
It's so good. But you just hear him, I can save your daughter. And then he's like, you can. And then they do
Yeah.
this whole thing where he takes out some of his blood, and he puts the
Puts
blood in a ring in a box.
And
They
then-
go, and then,
Yeah.
he saves the daughter's life. And then it shows a shot of them, and you just hear like this,
Yeah.
and you're like,
He just saved the girl's life. Like, why is it so epic foreboding? I could understand if like it was kind of a mid-range where it was like this weird unsettling
Yeah.
thing, but not just doom. Like, huh?
exactly.
Even though doom did ensue.
It did, because he takes his ring, puts it into a glass of water, and
kaboom,
through.
like,
I'm convinced the ring was Mentos, and that was just like a glass of clear Diet Coke.
yeah,
It's the future. They made Crystal Diet Coke.
yeah.
And so they puts the ring of Mentos into the drink of Crystal Diet Coke, and it explodes.
Yeah, and it just like takes out a city block or something.
Well, it destroys like this epic underground secret base.
Yeah.
Destroys
which
a few
ironically
buildings.
only had 47 deaths.
42.
42. Like,
I'm like, well, they did say that we lost 42 of our own.
yeah.
They
So
didn't specify.
They didn't say
civilian
civilian casualties.
because you see buildings collapse,
Yeah,
and you're
I'm
like, 40.
42?
Huh.
This doesn't make sense.
So, anyway, all that happens, and then because protocol dictates that they all meet in this room, That's where Khan then blasts the room because Kirk's like, wait a minute.
And it was like Kirk
Shit.
just kind of has this revelation, like, wait a minute, if he's one of us, he would know that this would put us all here, and then lo and behold, there he comes and tries to assassinate the whole
Which
group.
is how Pike dies and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So all that happens. They go to the planet. They capture him. They get some of his blood. Yada, yada, yada. Things are ensuing.
Which I actually appreciated the fact that, Kirk was sent to kill him. His orders were to just get on the edge of
The neutral zone.
neutral zone and just launch these torpedoes at him. Not a word said, just lock in, fire the torpedoes that the Klingons won't see coming, blow them to bits, and
because
then
it's
just
hitting
leave.
an unpopulated sector of the
Yeah.
Klingon planet. Who cares?
Yeah. So it was just, his whole mission was just go in, kill him, get out.
Yeah, and which Kirk was all for because he just
Yeah.
killed Pike, who was his
Yeah,
pseudo
he
father.
was going
father
for the
figure.
revenge, but
Yeah.
then it was that relationship between Spock and Kirk
Exactly.
that kind of got Kirk's wheels turning a little bit, and he chose to capture Khan instead of just kill him.
So
And then,
it-
of course,
So he goes and captures them. Things ensue, all that stuff, and then all of a sudden, this giant ship shows up.
Yeah.
Juggernaut class. It's like
The
triple,
Dreadnought class, yeah.
Dreadnought class. Thank you.
triple the size, triple the speed.
It was ridiculous. Like, it was really cool.
Yeah, it was impressive to look at.
So all that happens, at which point, he brings Khan gets relocated to the medical bay. They're having this big conversation. The admiral who is leading this Juggernaut ship, just opens fire on the Enterprise and starts just decimating
Yeah.
it. At which
It's
point,
not even a fair fight.
so then they start talking back and forth, and it's like blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and this is where we got one of your moments that you.
This
didn't
is
like.
one moment that really pissed me off because Kirk and Spock, or not Spock, Kirk and Khan,
yeah.
are standing face to face.
They're having
and-
like this epic standoff, like
because it's like,
power
I need your
struggle
help.
between them.
Enemy of my enemy is my friend. You need to help me to live, and blah
Yeah.
blah blah. So they're having this standoff, kind of looking at each other, and then out of left field is just Bones. What are you doing to that Tribble? Zoom
Yeah.
out to Bones. He's like, his blood has regenerative
Regenerative
properties I've
yeah.
never seen before. I want to see what happens. He goes, that Tribble's dead. I know. Injects it into the Tribble,
Yeah.
and then there's the MacGuffin for later.
Yeah,
It's just like,
and it was such an obvious telegraph as well.
oh,
Like,
it was,
it,
but it was
one
so
of those things where
it just didn't flow.
you knew this was going to be important later because it was practically shoved down your throat.
and it didn't fit with the flow though,
Yeah,
because
it totally didn't fit, especially for that scene. It didn't fit with the tone.
yeah, and because we, as we mentioned earlier, you see him take his blood and it gets
Yeah.
used to save the little girl. That's all you needed. If
Yeah.
you were paying attention, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
oh,
And I mean,
okay.
even just have like Bones take the blood sample, because he took the blood sample while they had Khan kind of in custody.
Yeah, because they're taking his blood just to run
And
it. Just
yeah,
to
they
find
could
out.
have just literally had him later on when it was needed, have him be like, he's mourning, whatever, and then just that flash moment, oh, hold on, and he goes and checks the blood, remembering what he discovered with it.
Exactly, and that would have fit far better for the character. It would have been much better. Oh yeah, because we should probably mention this.
Yeah.
One of the big griping moments that pretty much everyone goes, "Oh God, they actually did it."
Yeah.
They redo Star Trek 2.
Pretty much scene for scene.
Like the roles are reversed. Spock is standing on the other side of the glass. Kirk is inside the warp core.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm scared, and it's like, I'm your friend, and blah 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 blah,
Yeah.
and like, they
They do the
hands on the
with
other side.
The
With the
Vulcan,
Vulcan.
long live and prosper.
And it did not, like, oh my god.
See,
And
I-
then Spock does the Khan!
And like, personally, I felt it didn't fit, but it is just me. I felt that it felt forced, and it didn't really fit the tone of a scene. And I think for me, it felt like that because it felt so much like they were just trying to remake the Star Trek 2 cry.
The biggest reason why I think it doesn't work, and this is where the opinions differ. I don't think it works because there's the preconception
Yeah.
of that scene from Star Trek 2, where you just know that scene,
Yeah,
you
everyone's
know that this
waiting for it.
exists. So if they didn't do the con, everyone's gonna go, "Oh man, they didn't do it."
Yeah.
But then they didn't. They're going, "Oh my god, they actually did it!"
Yeah, it
So
was
it's the
just a
fact that-
no-win.
Because they were recreating that scene, they pretty much screwed themselves.
Yeah.
But so then that all happens. There's a chase scene involving Khan and Spock, and then they
Yeah.
capture him. Kirk wakes up. He's not dead.
Yeah.
The blood brings him back.
And actually, in that chase scene, brings us to that point we were talking with Chekhov,
yep.
where Chekhov, again, as we said, he has all these moments where he's just kind of defeated.
The biggest insult, I think, this is what I was remembering earlier.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you
No,
off.
no, go ahead.
But earlier, when I was talking about the whole, like, I want to say this is a spoiler section. Kirk just goes, because Scotty quits, because they won't let him see what's inside these warheads.
Well,
and
Scotty won't sign for him.
Scotty won't sign
Yeah.
for him because he can't see it,
Yeah,
and so he
can't
quits.
see it, so he quits.
But then Chekhov, who has been shadowing Scotty, he knows, second most about the Enterprise. So Kirk goes, throw in a red shirt
yeah.
and get down to engineering.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
like,
my new chief.
I'm just like, the fact that he said throw in a red shirt, I'm like, that's the biggest, like, ever,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
red shirts.
Yeah.
But then there's also a scene later on where they go to capture Khan on the planet.
Yeah.
And there's the two red shirts
The two
standing
red
there,
shirts, and he's like,
and
take
he's
off
like,
those red shirts. Put
Yeah.
these on.
I'm just kind of like, ha. But anyway, sorry.
But
sorry.
going back to Chekhov, that was where we got one of our major gripes about him. Is, at least for me anyway, in the first movie you had Chekhov being all like, I can do this, and you had the bit where he's got Kirk and Sulu free falling down at terminal velocity, and he manages to teleport them out of there. But then in this one, they suggest to him, like, can't you just teleport Khan and Spock back to the Enterprise? And he was like, they're moving around too much, I can't get a lock. And I'm thinking to myself, weren't you able to do that in the first movie? Like, what happened to you in however many small amount of years passed here?
Yeah.
Did you lose your nerd balls? Like,
And like the what I proposed was the difference between the scene from the first Star Trek and this Star Trek is, in the first Star Trek they're falling in a straight line at terminal velocity, which we know the maximum speed
there's a
of.
mathematical
So-
constant.
So he can go, okay, they're falling this fast, which means transport.
Yeah.
Whereas when they're on the ship, or on, like, because they're fighting on the back of like a
Like a
freighter,
transport or something, yeah.
yeah. So they're fighting back and forth, punching each other, flying off the sides, doing a bunch of flips. The car is going and potentially going up and down, side to side. It could potentially take, sudden turns. So from that aspect, I can understand, or I'm just proposing.
Yeah.
But
But then
an idea why it wouldn't work.
But then the only point that I had against that was the fact that, especially if it's the car that they're on that is an issue, I could understand the fighting of them having the issue, but if it's the car, then how the fuck were they able to transport Uhura onto the damn thing? That one see, again, it's just that pissed me off, because it's just they took Chekhov's balls away.
Although
but-
I had this one character that I really love in this movie, Scotty.
Yeah.
Him on the
it's
ship was
Scotty.
hilarious.
It's Scotty. You have to love Scotty.
Because the enemy ship, or the admiral's ship, it's designed to run with one person if necessary.
Yeah.
So it has a very low crew because they're just security guards. They're not actually Starfleet officers.
And then
And
on
so
top
you-
of that, it's 3 times the size.
So then you just have, like, they do this lineup where they're gonna have
Yeah, they got
Khan
this-
and Kirk
Board the
rocket
ship,
out
yeah.
and board the ship. But they're not taking any of their ships. They're just going to fly through space
Yeah.
and then, appear into this other space.
And it was actually kind of a callback to that free fall moment in the first movie.
They-
but
they-
I liked this one.
It was
this
done
was
really
pretty
well.
awesome.
And then what was really cool with it, though, what was really funny, and we were laughing in the theater, so was everyone else.
Yeah.
Is Scotty's running. He's like, hold on, and
Yeah,
then it
and he's
zooms
running
out
across
to
this
this
huge bay.
giant bay. He's like, and he gets to the other side. He goes, okay, manual control's over there, because it's now back on the other side that
Yeah.
he just came from. So it's just him doing this running back and forth, and it was really funny.
Yeah, it was actually a nice little comedy bit. I liked it.
So, but anyway,
But
that's pretty much the whole movie.
Yeah.
And then the movie ends with what was it?
Well, they end with the Captain's Oath.
They end with the Captain's Oath. The
leading
whole like
into like the musical score actually playing this nice orchestral version of the original TOS opening music, which was fantastic to hear.
yeah, and it was the it started off with the original theme, and then they went into a more orchestral version, and then back to the original,
Yeah.
and back to the like it was
a nice blend.
yeah. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
And it kind of ended off the whole thing where they're just kind of starting their 5-year mission.
Yep.
Which I think was a point that we kind of made last night about
We
the
did.
timelines being a little off, is that for them trying to recreate Star Trek 2 in this one kind of felt weird, because in the original one, you know, they'd already done their 5-year mission, they'd gone through all this experience, you know, Kirk was an admiral at the time, and then they have their encounter with Khan. Whereas this is pretty much their like second, third outing on the Enterprise, pretty
Yep.
much, and then they meet one of the greatest foes of all of Star Trek. So it felt a little
It was
off
a little
timeline.
disjointed.
Yeah,
But overall, like all that being said, once again, fantastic movie,
Yeah.
well worth watching. That's our thoughts, and that's basically how the entire movie plays.
yeah, pretty much.
Summed up in about 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
So, really good. Definitely go watch it once
Yep.
again.
Yep.
And once again, rate, comment, like, subscribe, all that. Follow on Twitter, Facebook, all that jazz.
All the fun stuff.
And all that aside, once again, I'm Tom, and this is Ryan.
See you later.